Hi everyone.
Hello again.
We're in the Pure Worship book, page 68. The subtitle is Store Up for Yourselves Treasures in Heaven. We'll read a couple of the paragraphs here. What can we learn from this part of Ezekiel's prophecy? Does it relate to the message of our ministry and the reaction of those to whom we preach? Jehovah has determined when the approaching destruction of false religion will come about, and again he will prove to be an exact timekeeper. We do not know the precise date of that event. Like Ezekiel, though, we continue to carry out Jehovah's instruction to warn people repeatedly, saying, "The end is now upon you." Why do we need to repeat that message? For the same reason that Ezekiel needed to do so. Most people to whom he proclaimed God's prophecy about Jerusalem's fall did not believe it. But later, some Jewish exiles in Babylon showed a righteous heart condition, and they returned to their homeland. Similarly, many people today dismiss the idea that this world will come to an end. Even so, until the time for mankind to accept God's message runs out, we want to help honest-hearted individuals to find the road that leads to life.
Ezekiel's prophecy also reminds us that when the coming attack against religious organizations occurs, members of the churches will not be going to the battle to defend religion. Instead, as they begin to realize that their cry for help, "Lord, Lord," is going unanswered, their hands will hang limp and they will be shuddering. What else will they do? Jehovah says they will throw their silver into the streets. That statement regarding the inhabitants of ancient Jerusalem also vividly illustrates what will take place during the Great Tribulation. At that time, people will realize that money cannot save them from the coming calamity.
No, a lot of issues in these two paragraphs.
Well, this repetition of the idea in both paragraphs that there's going to be an attack against religious organizations.
Yeah.
This is a fiction made up by the Watchtower without any backing from prophecy.
It's also ignoring the fact that they were in exile. They didn't just decide, oh, well, maybe I should be good and I'll go back. Like, it's just such a wrong picture of history.
Yeah.
I've found that really odd.
This line at the top of page 69, many people today dismiss the idea that this world will come to an end. I wonder why they dismiss the idea.
Yeah.
Could it be related to the fact that you've been preaching this for 5 generations,
so
you and others?
It's not because of the Lord, Lord. It's because of the wolf. It's around the corner. It's going to happen. So when you tell, like, the question you should ask is, how many generations did Ezekiel warn?
One.
How many have the Watchtower been warning with this message?
Well, 4 have died. 4 generations have perished believing what you've taught them.
So when you criticize people who leave the organization, and there's quite a few ex-witnesses that have lost faith.
Totally.
Lost all faith.
Mm-hmm.
You are partly responsible for that. When you call wolf for 4 generations, and now we're working on the 5th generation, and they lose faith, it's not surprising. So
we get all the time, you should know this, we get in many comments and live conversations where people are just saying they feel they've wasted their lives with this organization. Well, why did they waste their lives? Because you told them that within a generation, sometimes within a decade, the end would come and they would never get old.
Yeah.
So I feel pain for all our Jehovah's Witnesses, friends and family who are still in there, still hanging on, because they believe the promise that you gave back in the 1880s.
You make people heartsick. I think there's a song about if a hope is disappointed, it makes the heart sick.
Yeah.
And I think we see that in the organization now.
Yeah.
So it's
we
sad.
do. And why do they lose faith? Well, because Ezekiel, well, in the case of Ezekiel, they didn't have a chance to lose faith because what he said came true in that generation.
Yeah, he didn't have to retrace his steps.
So I find it
His warning was true.
I find it painful and exasperating in this last paragraph that they're working over the type thing without calling it a type. They're working it over. What do these things have to do with us today? Ezekiel's situation or prophetic statements?
Yeah,
They
where
remind
Ezekiel?
us that the time is still available for helping others to become God's servants. The time is limited. We carry out the disciple-making work. We continue to give the warning that Ezekiel gave to the people of his day. What was that message? The end is now upon you. Well, in Ezekiel's case, it was truth. In your case, it's been false.
Yeah.
Falsified over and over again.
Yeah.
So you haven't learned the lesson of false prophecy yet. So the fact that you again call Jehovah an exact timekeeper, but fail to apply the principle to yourself, he's obviously not talking to you guys.
Yeah.
And if you don't acknowledge that and realize that that puts you in a very bad situation before God.
You're also trying to scare people into the kingdom rather than point to Christ, who loves us and is our Savior and wants to accept us. That is a message of grace and hope.
Yeah.
But when you point to a date, you're disappointing people over and over again, and you're not pointing to Christ.
Again, the frustration when we realized that all this criticism of those who cling to their wealth to save them. But what are you clinging to if you're a loyal Jehovah's Witness? You're clinging to a billionaire organization that has literally billions of dollars of property on this planet.
Yeah.
And the size of the organization is the idea that you've been blessed in a unique way, which isn't unique. This idea that your growth and all of that visible property is a sign of God's favor upon you.
Yeah.
You're clinging to that thought just as surely as people are clinging to their security.
What do you do with the finances? You just build yourself up. At least when Christendom, gets contributions, it's usually going to local needs or missionary needs, world needs.
Not to buying more property.
Yeah.
To build kingdom halls or factories.
Yeah.
This line in the first paragraph you read, though, at the end of it, we want to help honest-hearted individuals to find the road that leads to life. And you know that road is not Jesus Christ. You know that way is not Jesus Christ.
They're pointing to an organization as the road that you need to find.
Yeah.
Whereas Christians point to a person that you need to recognize and accept.
Right.
Christ for your life.
That's quite a contrast.
So we're linking actually to a video where we held up a sign that we used when we were first out of the Watchtower. So this would have been in
early 90s.
Yeah, the early 90s when we went down and demonstrated at the conventions. And this sign said 1914, World War II, 1975, 1999. 4 generations of Jehovah's Witnesses died in a false hope. Don't be the 5th. And now they're working on the 5th.
Yeah, the original sign just said 3 generations have died and a 4th. Don't be the 4th. Now we have to change it, of course, to don't be the 5th.
Yeah, yeah.
It's such a shame. Such a tragedy.
Yeah.
See you next time.